Imagine holding on to something that is slowly breaking you. A relationship where you give and give, but never receive the love you deserve. You pray, you fight, and you hope that things will change. But deep inside, you know it's not right. You ask yourself, why is this happening to me? Why can't I walk away? This is not just a matter of the heart. It is a spiritual battle. God loves you too much to let you stay in a relationship that is not part of His divine plan. And if you're holding on to the wrong man, God will not let you love him forever. There are moments in life when we confuse attachment with love. We think our feelings are enough to keep a relationship alive, even when it drains us emotionally and spiritually. But love, real godly love, should bring peace, not pain. God speaks to us in whispers and red flags we ignore, in prayers we refuse to listen to. He removes people from our lives for a reason, yet we chase after them, believing we can rewrite the story He has already planned. But no matter how hard we hold on, if a relationship is not ordained by God, it will eventually fall apart. Faith is trusting that when God closes one door, He is preparing to open a better one. The wrong relationship will never give you the right future. And if you're struggling to let go, know this. God's love is greater than any heartbreak. He will heal your wounds, restore your joy, and bring the right person into your life at the perfect time. The illusion of love is one of the most powerful and deceptive forces that can take hold of the human heart. It is a feeling so strong, so overwhelming that it blinds us to reality. We convince ourselves that the love we are experiencing is true, that it is meant to last forever, even when every sign points to the opposite. We hold on, not because we are truly happy, but because we are afraid of losing something we think we cannot live without. This illusion often begins subtly. It starts with small compromises, little moments where we ignore our instincts and silence the voice inside us that whispers, "This isn't right." We justify the emotional pain, the moments of doubt, and the uneasiness that lingers in our hearts. We tell ourselves that love requires sacrifice, that relationships are not perfect, and that if we just try harder, things will get better. But deep inside, we know the truth. We are forcing something that was never meant to be. One of the most dangerous aspects of the illusion of love is how it distorts our perception of ourselves. We start believing that we are not worthy of anything better. We think that if this love slips away, we will never find something more fulfilling, more real. And so we cling tighter. We invest more of ourselves, pouring love into a relationship that drains us instead of filling us. We ignore the feeling of emptiness because we have convinced ourselves that this is what love is supposed to feel like. But real love, the kind of love that God intends for us, is not based on struggle, confusion, or endless pain. Love was never meant to be a battlefield where one person fights alone, trying to hold together something that is already falling apart. When love is right, it does not leave you questioning your worth. It does not leave you feeling lonely even when you are with the person you claim to love. The illusion of love also makes us resistant to change. Even when we recognize that the relationship is not right, we fear the unknown. We fear being alone, stepping into a future where we do not know what comes next. We fear that no one else will love us the way this person does, even if their love is flawed, conditional, or toxic. This fear keeps us trapped in the illusion, unable to move forward. But God does not want us to live in fear. He does not want us to remain in a relationship that is built on illusion rather than truth. He sees beyond what we see, knowing that what we are holding on to is only a fraction of the love He has in store for us. When we surrender our hearts to Him, He gently removes the illusions and replaces them with clarity. He shows us that love should never feel like a constant struggle for validation, that it should never rob us of our joy, our peace, or our sense of self. Letting go of the illusion of love is not easy. It requires faith that God has something better, something real, waiting for us. It requires the courage to walk away, even when our hearts are still attached to a dream that was never meant to come true. It requires trusting that God will heal the pain of letting go and replace it with a love that is whole, pure, and lasting. If you find yourself trapped in the illusion of love, ask yourself, is this relationship truly bringing me closer to the person God wants me to be? Or am I staying because I am afraid of the truth? Real love does not need to be forced. It does not demand that you lose yourself to keep it alive. And no matter how much you try to hold on, if a relationship is built on illusion instead of God's will, it will never stand the test of time. Every person walks a unique path in life, but no step is taken without purpose. There are moments when we believe we are in control of our own destiny, choosing our relationships and making decisions based on emotions, desires, and personal reasoning. But beyond what we see, there is a greater plan unfolding, one that is guided by divine wisdom. God does not simply allow us to love whoever we choose without purpose. He has already designed a plan for our lives, including the person we are meant to be with. Sometimes we try to force a relationship that was never meant to be part of that plan. We convince ourselves that we know what is best, that this person in our lives is the one, even when everything suggests otherwise. We justify struggles, make excuses for mistreatment, and hold on tighter, believing that if we just try hard enough, we can make it work. But God, in His infinite wisdom, does not want us to settle for a relationship that is less than what He has prepared for us. God's plan is not random. It is carefully designed with love, with foresight, and with a deep understanding of who we are and what we truly need. When He places a person in our lives, it is either to teach us something, help us grow, or lead us toward our destined path. Not every love story is meant to last, and not every person who enters our lives is meant to stay. We often mistake temporary connections for lifelong commitments, holding on to people who are only meant to be a lesson, not a destination. One of the hardest things to accept is that God's plan may not align with our personal desires. We may love someone deeply, but if that relationship is pulling us away from our faith, our purpose, or our true selves, it is not part of God's design. Love should uplift, not break us. It should bring clarity, not confusion. And when we are in alignment with God's plan, love will never require us to lose ourselves in the process. When God removes someone from our lives, it is not an act of punishment, but an act of protection. He sees the pain ahead, the struggles we cannot yet foresee, the future heartbreak that will come if we continue down the wrong path. In the moment, it may feel cruel, as though we are losing something precious. But in time, we will realize that what we thought was love was only a shadow of what true love is meant to be. Many times, we resist God's plan because we fear being alone. We think that if we let go of the wrong person, no one better will come along. But God's love for us is greater than our fears. He does not remove something from our lives without the intention of replacing it with something far greater. He is not a God of loss. He is a God of abundance. What He has planned for you will not only fulfill your heart, but will also bring you closer to Him. Trusting in God's divine plan requires faith. It requires surrendering control and believing that He knows what is best. It means letting go of relationships that are not aligned with His purpose. Even when it is painful, it means waiting with patience, knowing that what is ahead is far greater than what is left behind them. God's plan is not meant to harm you. It is meant to bless you. If He is pulling you away from someone, trust that He is doing it for your good. The love He has prepared for you will not leave you broken, confused, or questioning your worth. It will be a love that reflects His own, a love that is pure, unwavering, and destined for you from the very beginning. Love can be one of the most beautiful experiences in life, but it can also be one of the most deceptive. Sometimes we become so deeply attached to someone that we ignore the warning signs that the relationship is not right for us. We convince ourselves that love means enduring hardship, sacrificing our happiness, and holding on even when everything inside us is telling us to let go. But there are clear signs when love is misdirected, and recognizing them is the first step toward breaking free from something that is not meant for us. One of the strongest signs of misdirected love is ignoring red flags. These are the moments when something deep inside tells us that something is not right, yet we choose to overlook it because we don't want to face the truth. Maybe it's the way we feel after a conversation, the way our partner makes us question our worth, or the constant cycle of apologies and broken promises. These signs are not coincidences, they are warnings. When God is trying to steer us away from the wrong person, He often sends signals. But if we refuse to acknowledge them, we end up prolonging our own suffering. Another sign that we are in the wrong relationship is a growing sense of spiritual disconnection. A healthy relationship should bring us closer to God, not pull us away. If we find ourselves compromising our faith, neglecting our values, or feeling spiritually empty, it may be because we are trying to force something that is not in alignment with God's plan. Love should strengthen us, not weaken our relationship with Him. When we feel distant from God because of the person we are with, it is a sign that we are investing our hearts in something that is not meant for us. Losing one's purpose is another dangerous indicator of being in the wrong relationship. The person you choose to love should encourage your growth, inspire your dreams, and support your journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. But when love is misdirected, it can do the opposite. You may begin to feel stuck, unmotivated, or even unsure of who you are. You may start to abandon the things that once brought you joy and meaning, all in an effort to keep the relationship alive. This is not love. This is a slow loss of identity. When love is right, it does not require you to shrink yourself or abandon your purpose just to make the other person stay. A misdirected love also leads to a constant emotional roller coaster. Instead of bringing peace, the relationship is filled with uncertainty, anxiety, and moments of extreme highs and lows. One moment you feel loved and secure. The next you feel unappreciated and confused. This instability is a sign that the relationship is not built on a solid foundation. True love does not create a cycle of emotional distress. It creates a sense of safety and reassurance. When love is misdirected, it often feels like an endless effort. You may find yourself being the only one trying to make things work, constantly making excuses for the other person or waiting for them to change. But love should not be one-sided. If you are the only one fighting to keep the relationship alive, it is not the love God wants for you. Real love is reciprocal. It is given freely without conditions or endless struggles. Perhaps the most heartbreaking sign of misdirected love is when you begin to pray for change more than you pray for guidance. Instead of asking God if this relationship is meant for you, you beg Him to make it work, to fix what is broken, to make the other person love you in the way you need. But God does not force love, and He does not want you to settle for something less than His best. If you find yourself constantly pleading for the relationship to improve, it may be time to ask yourself whether this is the love that God truly intends for you. Love should not feel like a battle to prove your worth. It should not require you to beg for attention, compromise your faith, or abandon your purpose. If you recognize these signs in your relationship, take a step back and ask yourself, is this love truly leading me toward the life God has planned for me? The right love will never make you feel lost. It will feel like home, like peace, like something that brings you closer to the person you are always meant to be. Letting go is one of the hardest things we're ever asked to do. When we invest our hearts in someone, we naturally want to believe that the relationship can be saved, that with enough effort, enough patience, and enough love, things will eventually fall into place. But sometimes the very thing we are holding on to is the thing that is keeping us from the life God has planned for us. The power of letting go is not about giving up. It is about surrendering to something greater than our own understanding. It is about trusting that if something is not meant for us, then God has something far better in store. Letting go is painful because we fear what comes next. We wonder if we will ever find someone else, if we will ever feel that deep connection again, or if we are making a mistake by walking away. But when a relationship is no longer serving its purpose, holding on only prolongs the hurt. We convince ourselves that staying is easier, but in reality, staying in the wrong relationship is what drains us the most. The longer we hold on to what is not meant for us, the longer we delay the blessings that God is trying to bring into our lives. Sometimes, God removes people from our lives because He sees what we cannot. He knows the future. He sees the struggles ahead, the heartache that will come, and the ways this relationship is limiting us. Yet, we often resist His guidance because we want to control the outcome. We believe that if we just try harder, if we just love more, things will change. But love should not be forced. If something is truly meant for you, it will never require you to lose yourself in order to keep it. The power of letting go is found in the peace that follows. At first, it may feel like a loss, like something precious has been taken away. But as time passes, clarity begins to replace confusion. The weight that was once so heavy starts to lift. The anxiety that came with trying to fix something that was never meant to work begins to fade. And in that stillness, we begin to realize that God was never taking something away from us. He was making space for something better. Letting go also teaches us self-worth. When we hold on to someone who does not value us the way we deserve, we are telling ourselves that we are not worthy of something greater. We settle for less than we deserve out of fear of the unknown. But God does not want us to live in fear. He does not want us to cling to a relationship that is keeping us from growing. The moment we let go, we are making a statement. We are saying that we trust God's plan more than our own fears. We are choosing faith over comfort, purpose over temporary satisfaction. There is also strength in letting go. It takes courage to walk away from something familiar, to step into uncertainty with nothing but faith to guide us. But the greatest breakthroughs often come when we release what is no longer meant for us. The moment we stop trying to force something to work, we create room for something that will naturally fall into place. The love that God has planned for you will not require endless effort to keep alive. It will flow effortlessly, bringing peace instead of turmoil, joy instead of exhaustion. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It is a declaration of trust. It is saying, God, I don't know what's next, but I believe that you do. It is choosing to believe that what is ahead is far greater than what is behind. It is understanding that the wrong relationship will never lead to the right future. And most importantly, it is knowing that God's plans are always filled with love, purpose, and the promise of something better. Fear is one of the greatest obstacles to finding true love. It keeps us trapped in places we were never meant to stay, clinging to relationships that no longer serve us. It whispers doubts into our hearts, making us believe that if we let go of the wrong person, we will end up alone forever. Fear convinces us that we will never find someone better, that we are not worthy of a love that is strong, pure, and enduring. But God calls us to walk in faith, not fear. Faith is what allows us to trust that His timing is perfect, that He knows what is best for us, and that He will never leave us empty-handed when we surrender to His will. Many people stay in unhealthy relationships simply because they are afraid of the unknown. The thought of starting over, of facing life without the person they have grown attached to, seems unbearable. They convince themselves that being with the wrong person is better than being with no one at all. But fear is a poor foundation for love. Love that is built on fear will always come with anxiety, insecurity, and a deep sense of unfulfillment. True love, the love that God intends for us, is never accompanied by fear. It is built on trust, peace, and mutual devotion. Faith, on the other hand, gives us the courage to walk away from what is not meant for us. It allows us to see that letting go is not the end but the beginning of something greater. When we trust in God's plan, we understand that what He takes away, He replaces with something far better. Faith tells us that we are not forgotten, that God knows the desires of our hearts, and that He is preparing someone who will love us in the way we were always meant to be loved. One of the most powerful lessons in faith is learning to wait on God's timing. In a world that tells us to rush, to settle, to hold on to whatever is available, waiting on God requires patience and trust. It means refusing to settle for a relationship that does not align with His will. It means believing that God's best is worth the wait, even when loneliness tempts us to take matters into our own hands. It means understanding that His timing is not just about bringing the right person into our lives, but also about shaping us into the person who will be ready to receive that love. When we operate in faith, we let go of desperation. We no longer seek validation from the wrong relationships because we know that our worth comes from God. We stop chasing people who are not meant for us and instead focus on becoming the best version of ourselves. We trust that God will bring the right person at the right time, someone who will complement our journey rather than hinder it. Faith removes the need to force love because it assures us that the love meant for us will find us effortlessly. Fear will always try to convince us that we are running out of time, that if we do not hold on to what is in front of us, we will never find anything better. But faith reminds us that God is never late, that He is always working behind the scenes, and that His plans for us are filled with goodness and love. When we choose faith over fear, we step into a life where love is no longer something we have to chase, beg for, or compromise for. It becomes something that flows naturally in alignment with God's perfect will. Letting go of the wrong relationship is not a loss. It is an act of faith. It is choosing to believe that God's love for you is so great that He will not allow you to settle for anything less than His best. It is trusting that the love He has prepared for you will not leave you questioning, doubting, or feeling unworthy. It will be a love that reflects His own, pure, unwavering, and meant just for you. Healing from heartbreak is not an overnight process. It is a journey, one that requires patience, faith, and a willingness to trust that God is working even in the midst of our pain. When we lose someone we love, whether by choice or circumstance, the emptiness that follows can feel unbearable. We wonder if the pain will ever fade, if we will ever feel whole again, or if we will ever find love that does not end in heartbreak. But God is not just a healer of physical wounds. He is the healer of the heart, the restorer of souls, and the one who turns our deepest sorrows into testimonies of His faithfulness. The first step toward healing is surrender. Many of us try to carry our heartbreak alone, believing that if we just distract ourselves, if we stay busy, if we pretend to be okay, the pain will eventually go away. True healing does not come from avoidance. It comes from facing our pain head on and surrendering it to God. He already knows the weight of our grief. He sees every tear, hears every whispered prayer, and understands the depth of our heartbreak. When we lay our pain at His feet, we invite Him into our healing process. We acknowledge that we cannot do it on our own and that we need His strength to move forward. Healing also requires us to let go of what could have been. One of the hardest parts of heartbreak is mourning the future we had envisioned with someone. We replay memories, wonder what went wrong, and hold on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, things will change. But dwelling on what is no longer meant for us only prolongs our pain. God does not want us to live in the past. He wants us to step into the future He has prepared. When we let go of the version of love that was not meant for us, we make room for the love that is. A significant part of healing is understanding that our worth is not tied to a failed relationship. Heartbreak has a way of making us question ourselves. We wonder if we were not good enough, if we could have done more, if we are somehow unworthy of love. But our worth has never been determined by another person's ability to love us. Our worth is found in God, and He calls us chosen, beloved, and valuable beyond measure. No breakup, no rejection, and no loss can take away the identity that God has given us. Healing also means allowing ourselves to feel joy again. After heartbreak, it can be difficult to believe that happiness is still possible. We build walls around our hearts, afraid to love again, afraid to trust, afraid to be vulnerable. But God does not want us to live in fear of love. He is not only the God of restoration, but also the God of new beginnings. Just because one love story ended does not mean another will not begin. The love He has planned for us will not be marked by pain and uncertainty. It will be filled with peace, joy, and security. In time, the pain that once felt unbearable will become a distant memory. The wounds that once seemed impossible to heal will become scars, evidence of what we have overcome and how God carried us through. We will look back and realize that what we thought was the end was actually a new beginning. That the love we lost was only making room for the love that was always meant to find us. God's healing is not just about moving on. It is about becoming whole again. It is about growing stronger, wiser, and more deeply rooted in His love. It is about understanding that every heartbreak, every loss, and every moment of pain is shaping us for something greater. When we trust in His healing process, we do not just recover, we are renewed. We step into a future that is brighter, a love that is pure, and a life that is guided by the one who knows exactly what we need. So today, I ask you, do you trust God enough to let go of what is wrong for you? Will you allow Him to lead you to the love He has destined for you? If you surrender, if you listen, if you have faith, God will not let you love the wrong man forever, because His love for you is far too great to let you settle for less. Would you like any modifications to make this speech more personal or impactful? Try an example below or send any message in the message box below. Plan a trip to opening day at baseball team right. An email for carpet cleaning. Suggest recipes from photo of my fridge.